Hello yogis. So in this video we are going to see together the most common positions in a very classic standard yoga practice. So let's start on the mat. The first thing, if you approach yoga in general, you're going to be impressed by many types of yoga that you can find out there. You can find some basic courses of Hatha Yoga, Vinyasa, Kundalini, Ashtanga, Jivamukti, and so many other styles. The most important thing is to choose the style that really fits you, the style that you really believe it belongs to you and you're going to realize it. So whenever you are going to choose a certain type of practice, one day, another kind of practice on the day after, there are many common poses. A pose in yoga is called asana. So we are going to see these asana together, the most common one, those that you're going to find very easy, and then the basement, the foundation of a yoga practice. So the most common, the most famous, I think, is exactly this one where I'm seated, and it is called Sukhasana. So it is a seated position, and most of the time we use it to start or to end up a practice, but also for meditation. So Sukhasana is, again, a seated position, and the most important thing in this pose is to have is to lengthen our spine. If you're new to yoga and your legs might be pretty tight to be seated like this, but also we have, for example, the lotus in this position, for example, or basically we can have a classic cross leg position like this one. And as I was mentioning, if you are new to yoga and your legs are pretty tight, most of the time I experience this kind of sitting. Most of the time I see people starting in this position, and it's totally okay because it is actually our natural posture if we tend to work a lot on a laptop or on a desk. It is totally normal. And Sukhasana will help us also to correct this posture. So first, we can keep our legs crossed in this way, but try really to focus on the touching points of our glutes and start to lengthen the spine, okay? Start to really focus on this position with the neck aligned with the shoulders and aligned with the rest of the spine. Even if our legs stay a little bit up, this is absolutely not a problem. The most important thing is to lengthen the spine. Focus also on the shoulders away from your ears. So it's going to give you space also in this zone around the neck. And then, of course, in yoga, it's basically not us adapting to the pose, but the pose which is going to be adapted to our kind of body. So use always a prop, which might be the blocks, might be a strap. So take the block and put it under your glutes. This is going to elevate your position. So your legs might be naturally down on the mat, and your glutes will be higher than your knees. Okay, so feel free to use the prop to adapt the pose to the conformation of your body. Once we are in Sukhasana and we have found a very nice and comfortable position, our palms might be up or down. If we face them up, we want to start a connection to the sky, to the air which is surrounding us. If our palms are facing down, we want to be more grounded and experiment more connection with Mother Earth. So once you find also the alignment of your hands, you can start to close your eyes. Start to close your eyes, relax your face, relax your jaw, relax your neck. And start to breathe from the nose. Inhale from the nose. Exhale from the nose. Start to experience this grounding, this rooting down to the Mother Earth. Let's try to create some space in our body. Let's start to clear up our mind and then make also our body ready for the practice. Breathing is the key for practicing yoga. The breath will guide your flow, will guide your practice from the beginning to the end. Breathing is the key to know your body and to know if you are forcing too much a certain position when your body is not ready. And also it's the tool that will keep you always aware of your own body during the entire practice. Inhale from the nose. Focus on the air which is coming from the nostrils, arriving through our lungs, landing down on our belly. Exhale. The warm air which comes from the belly, crossing the lungs, and coming out from the nostrils. Mostly in yoga, you're going to hear Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi breath is a very important breathing technique, and it means the victorious breath. It is very, very intense kind of breathing, but at the same time it's going to be very useful during a dynamic practice like vinyasa, for example. So start to have a deep breath from the nose. And once you exhale, reproduce the sound H-A from the nose. It's a very deaf, intense sound which we are reproducing with the nose. Once again, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And in yoga there are so many other breathing techniques which are called pranayama, but then we are going to face them together also in other videos, no worries. You don't have to see everything in this video. Just the most common poses. So gently open your eyes. And we're going to see together another very common pose, which is called cat and cows. So for reproducing cat and cows, we have to be in our tabletop position. Tabletop position, our shoulders and wrists are aligned. Our palms are really rooted on the ground. Our navel is facing the spines, and also our tailbone is tucked, okay? So we are not arching, we are not collapsing towards the mat, but my arms really supporting the shoulders, navel in, tailbone tucked. So once we are in tabletop position, we are going to some cat and cows to just warm up the spine. If I take the cat position, also your legs can be basically at the length of your hips, okay? So for cat, I basically inhale and I start to bow, gazing up. My arms are very, very strong and I'm just gazing up, trying not to, try to stay still with the shoulders always, okay? But this is just an arch of the spine. Gazing up, inhale, and once we exhale, gaze down. Really, our hands are pushing the mat, and then I really squeeze my navel into my spine, and then tuck bone, tailbone even more tucked. Pushing the mat with my hands. Inhale, gaze up, and exhale, gaze down, squeeze the navel in, pushing the mat with the hands. Inhale, gaze up, arch with the spine, and exhale from the nose. Navel in, gaze down. Our chin very close to our chest. So I always recommend to do cat and cows during your practice, especially at the beginning, because it's a very nice warm-up for the spine. Once we really feel warmed up, we can basically start in what is called downward facing dog. So we tuck our feet and pushing with our arms and our hands, we just go into this V shape with our body. And your heels might not touch the ground, so your heels look more like this. It's still okay. No worries. So in this downward facing dog, we are trying to reproduce a V shape with our body, but the most important thing is to always focus on the distance between our shoulders and our ears, because we want space around the neck. We don't want to stay like this or like this. No, we just want a clear V. And in order to have this clear V, we don't have to focus the job only on our hands pushing the mat, but also on our hips facing up the sky. So you're going to see and experience and feel a lot of stretches also on your arm strings. Hips facing up the sky, pushing the hands, focusing on the distance between ears and shoulders, and try to bring our chest close to the mat. This is the key. And start breathing. Don't bend the elbows when you are in downward facing dog, but try to keep them straight. From downward facing dog, we are going to move into our plank. So also this pose is very, very common, especially in sun salutation or vinyasa. So in our plank, always keep the alignment between the shoulders and our wrists. Always aligned. The navel squeezed towards the spine and also our tailbone tucked. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the glutes, squeeze everything. Squeeze your abdomen and breathe. So once you are really, really tired and you have squeezed everything of your body, try to lower your knees to the mat and move into a resting child pose. Child pose is like, as I like to say, it's like coming back home because it's a very relaxing and resting pose. Even if it's a resting pose, we are going to still stretch all the spine, stretch the thighs, elongating our arms. It's really, really relaxing and soothing. It's like a soft hug every time we experience this pose. So if your glutes don't touch your heels and you are more like this, for example, like no, try to really lengthen the spine, the glutes touching the heels, and start to bring your neck in a neutral position. Your neck should be between, or your face, your head should be between your arms. Arms straighten and start to breathe here. Your legs can be separated at the length of your hips to really make space for the chest, or they can be joined. And in this case, when they are joined, your rib cage will be basically the main touching point for your thighs. And if you are starting to experience the breathing technique, or you want to be more focused on your breath, this is a very useful thing. You're going to really see our rib cage expanding every time you will inhale. So I like to have basically my legs separated and really experience the lengthening of the spine, but then it's totally up to you. Choose the pose you prefer the most. And child pose is going to be your back off position whenever you really feel tired during a very dynamic practice, for example. So feel free to come back in downward facing dog or child pose whenever you really feel you need to breathe and you need to reconnect to yourself. Slowly and gently, we come up into another pose, which we can practice usually at the beginning of a yoga session, and it's called Varasana, Hero's Pose. So you can practice this pose in like keeping your legs joined or with your glutes touching your heels. Or you can spread your legs and make space for your glutes, which should touch the mat. If this position is really, really discomfortable, especially for your knees, feel free to grab a block and put it under, okay? So in this position, we are again ready to reconnect the body with our breath, with our mind, and really start to calm our beat a little bit, calm our heartbeat, reconnect to the ground, finding again some moments to experience mindfulness, awareness, and gratitude. Let's get back to our Ujjayi breath. So yogis, thank you so much for watching this video with me. Let's say this is just the part 1 of the most basic and common poses in yoga. And we see each other in the next video.